we have come with yet another poem of our syllabus, that is the third poem, titled as A Thing of Beauty, written by John Keats. John Keats was a British romantic poet. Although trained to be a surgeon, Keats decided to devote himself wholly to poetry. His secret, his power to sway and delight the readers, lies primarily in his gift for perceiving the world and living his moods and aspirations in terms of language. Now, this is a very important line. The following excerpt from his poem, the following is an excerpt from his poem Endymion, a poetic romance. The poem is based on a Greek legend in which Endymion, a beautiful young shepherd and poet who lived on Mount Latmos, had a vision of Cynthia, the moon goddess. The enchanted youth resolved to seek her out and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. Now, John Keats is a poet of the Romantic Age, and this Romantic Age in English, in the history of English literature, Romantic Age was represented by the love for nature, by the love for uh, mythical allusions, by the love for human characters, okay, love for simplicity of human life. All these things were representative or were, symbol were there during the romantic period of English literature. Now, John Keats is known for his poems of nature, and in this poem he considers beauty to be an eternal aspect. Beauty is eternity. Okay, he tells, it is his philosophy that beauty is never going to fade away. Okay, anything that holds beauty in it will always shine during its existence, will always keep on shining, will never, it will never lose its charm or grace. Okay, in fact, with the passage of time, the beauty of that thing is going to increase. And then John Keats tells us that beauty holds the power to restore our sadness, to restore us from our sadness. Whenever we feel depressed or frustrated, anything of beauty has the power to heal us. So beauty has a healing effect. Beautiful things can cure us of our sadness. He also gives us a long list of the things of elements of nature that holds beauty and hence the power to heal. Okay, and lastly, the poet tells that not only the elements of nature, there are other things as well which holds eternal beauty within themselves, and that is the legendary stories of the martyrs, of the noble persons who have sacrificed their lives for some noble cause, for some virtuous cause. Their stories are also sources of beauty that keep on inspiring us forever. Hence, in a nutshell, he wants to tell that beauty gives us eternal joy. Alright, let us start with the text of the poem. This is a bit difficult. Please understand when when we give the line-wise explanation. It is replete with poetic imageries. It is full of poetic devices. So if you break the lines properly and if you read it properly, you will be able to understand. Let us start. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of the unhealthy and overdarkened ways made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. Such the sun, the moon, trees old and young sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils. with the green world they live in, and clear rails that for themselves a cooling covert make. Against the hot season, the mid forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair muskrose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms. We have imagined the mighty dead, all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heavens' brink. So the poem begins with this declaration that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Hence, anything that holds beauty in it, it gives us eternal joy. It is a source of eternal joy. It gives us happiness. And its charm keeps on increasing. It never pass into nothingness, means it never fades into nothingness. So what does the first lines mean? That a thing of beauty gives us eternal joy, its charm is ever increasing, and its beauty and charm and grace will never be it will they will never fade. Okay, it is completely uh, uh, timeless, eternal. Next, but will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Now what does he mean by this? He says that a thing of beauty will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. What do you mean by a bower? Bower is the shady place that is created because of a large tree. These part, the shade. Okay, so what happens when we are physically very tired because of the heat, and there is no place to rest when you are traveling? Suppose you are traveling on a hot scorching afternoon and you have no place to rest. Okay, and suddenly you see a huge banyan tree or peepal tree. Okay, huge oak tree, you will be attracted towards the shade of that tree, and the moment you sit there under the tree, you will feel relaxed. Okay, you will feel relaxed, you will feel cool, you will feel better. Maybe if it is if it is a farmer, a very tired farmer, maybe that bower will give him some nap. Okay, a nap, a short moment of sleep. Eh, there will be sweet dreams, good health and quiet breathing. So what does the poet say here? That the bower, the shade of a tree, has the power to rejuvenate our energy when we are tired. Similarly, a thing of beauty also has the power to rejuvenate us when we are depressed. Did you understand? This is a metaphor to rejuvenate us when we are depressed. Very important metaphor. So, whenever we are sad or feeling low, we always try to surround ourselves with some kind of beauty. It can be a beautiful rose, it can be nature outside, it can be a riverside bank, it can be even your hobbies, listening to music, sketching, painting, dancing, playing, etc. All these things hold beauty in themselves, and whenever you are sad, you tend to do those activity which will remove your sadness. So the poet says here that just like a bower or shade of a tree gives us sweet dreams, good health, quiet breathing when we are physically exhausted, just like that, a thing of beauty also has the power to restore energy, to restore our emotional health, to reset our emotional health for better whenever we are frustrated and depressed and feeling very low. Is it clear? Now, coming to the next part. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence of the Okay, this line we will do later. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band? Very important line. On every morrow means every morning. Okay, so what does the poet mean? That since whenever we are depressed or depressed or frustrated, we try to cling ourselves to some kind of beauty, right? And that is why the poet says, how much ever sad we are, every morning when we wake up, we try to forget our sadness or overcome our sadness by surrounding ourselves to things of beauty. So every morrow, that is every morning, are we reading? Reading means surrounding. Okay, now this is a metaphor as well. What is the meaning of wreath? Wreath means those flowery garlands, full of flowers. The rings are there, rings of flowers. Okay, these are basically mostly used when martyrs die and to pay tribute to them while they are leaving the physical world. These kinds of flowery garlands are given, right? So the poet uses this imagery very beautifully to show us that always we are trying to surround ourselves with some kind of beauty. Okay, therefore every morrow are we reading, are we surrounding ourselves a flowery band to bind us to earth. That means what? To to keep our lives moving, to move on with our lives. So, whatever sadness, how much ever gloomy or frustrated we are, every morning we surround ourselves to some kind of beauty, that is flowery band, to bind us to earth, means to move on with our lives, to live our lives on this earth. Okay, coming to the next next lines. Spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all unhealthy and overdarkened ways made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves the pall from our dark spirits. What does it mean? The poet says that there are traces of desperation, extreme sadness, inhuman dearth. Dearth means lack. Okay, that is shortage of noble natures. Noble natures means noble qualities like empathy, kindness, selflessness, love, care, affection, concern, all these things. If you remember the session on keeping quiet, we discussed there that this world is getting devoid of the nobility, of the noble virtues, of the good qualities, and introspection will help us attain those back, right? So the poet here says that there are many negativities around us. Despondence, that is extreme sadness, disappointment, there is lack of noble natures, that is virtuous qualities. At times we have bad days, unhealthy and over darkened ways. People are corrupted, people don't take the healthy and the transparent way to earn money. Okay, all these are negative. Okay, all these things have taken place in our lives, right? These are the negativities that the poet is talking about. But he says, in spite of all these negativities, some shape of beauty moves the pall. Pall means the cover, the shield. Which shield? The shield of sadness, the cover of sadness from our dark spirits. That means our dark spirits are enlightened, are taken towards light because of the thing of beauty. Have you understood? So it's like, whatever be the case, if we go to a thing of beauty which holds beauty for me, if we go towards it, then it has the power to move my sadness away, to move the cover of from our dark spirits, and we will be led to light. All right. Next, the poet gives us a long list of natural things, elements of nature. Such the sun. So he says some shape of beauty. He says that some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. So what are those shapes of beauty that have the power? The sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils with the world, with the green world they live in, and clear rails that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season. The mid forest brake, rich with sprinkling of fair muskrose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms. So what does he say? He says sun is there, moon is there, all these are beautiful things. Okay. and and trees old and young, very important. Even the young trees, which are small plants and shrubs, and the old trees. Now, for the young trees, he says that the young trees sprout a shady boon for simple sheep. Very important line. Young trees, they sprout into larger trees, right? They become larger trees. Now once they become a larger trees, they will definitely provide shade. Okay, they'll definitely provide shade. Shady boon means blessing, so this shade becomes a blessing for the grazing flock of sheep. Okay, for the animals as well, not only for human beings. So in the previous part he talks about bower that gives us good sleep and good health and quiet breathing. Now he talks about the animals, that the same bower can give the animals, the same power is a blessing for the animals. You have seen in the pastures, sheeps are sitting under the tree, under the huge trees. Now here there is an important allusion here. Now this is there is here is the symbolism, Christian biblical symbolism is here. What is it? According to the Christian mythology, um, Jesus Christ is known to be the good shepherd, and the human beings are the sheep. And Jesus Christ is leading the humanity, that is, sheep, from darkness to light. Right. Similarly, a thing of beauty has the power to lead us from our darkness to light. Hence, this reference. All right. Next, he talks about daffodils. These are the flowers, the green world, the garden, the forest, the habitat that in which the flowers grow. Clear reels. Now, reels means the stream. You can see in the picture itself the small streams that flow by, right? And this is a very important line, that even these reels have got, you can see in the picture, have got certain shrubs and plants on both its sides. Okay, and how have they got? They have produced this by themselves, so that they can keep themselves, that is the stream can keep itself cool when it is very hot. Now, this is an example of inversion, poetic device. Inversion means when you change the order of words. Order of words is changed, okay, is inverted. Now, if you see here, it should be the clear rails make a cooling covert for themselves against the hot season. Instead, the poet has written clear rails that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season. So, clear rails means streams, cooling covert means shade, that is the small shrubs and bushes and reefs that are created there. And as if clear rails, the streams are creating these uh, shrubs and plants to protect themselves against the hot season. Hence, we get another poetic device here, which is personification. Clear is making. Clear? Now, coming to the last part, which is a bit difficult, but if you understand it properly, it will be easy. And such too is the grandeur of dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead. All lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heaven's brink. What does it mean? That just like how the elements of nature hold a very grand status in our lives for improving our lives, similarly there is the same kind of grandness. Okay, grandeur, virat. Okay, grandness, the same kind of grandness is associated with the death of the mighty people, of the legendary people, okay, of the martyrs, of the noble persons who have sacrificed their lives, and their death, we have imagined the death, we have not seen. For example, the death of the heroes, the freedom strugglers, Netaji, Gandhiji, Bhagat Singh, and all others, even Rani Lakshmi Bai, we have imagined that they have had a very great death. That means, why great? Not because they have died in a great fashion. No, here mighty dead means these people have had their lives in such a great manner because of what they have done. They have done such noble things for the humanity that their death itself has become very great. Okay, mighty dead. All lovely tales that we have heard or read, we have heard how these people have how these people have died, what they have done, what they had done during their lives, how they have sacrificed themselves, and those stories and these legendary stories are very inspiring for us. Whenever we read the legendary stories of of the persons we admire, those stories keep on inspiring us, as if it is an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heaven's brink. So it's like as if these people, after dying, their stories have been that eternal source of beauty and inspiration poured onto us from the heaven. This is the metaphor. Okay, so in other words, the stories of these legendary figures who have sacrificed their lives for the sake of humanity, for noble causes, these stories always keep on inspiring and motivating us to become better in our lives. Okay, to feel better when we are low, to feel better when we are frustrated with our surroundings. Just like the elements of nature, these stories, these people's life stories, bios, help us to remove the sadness from our lives and we become better persons. We take inspiration from these people, as if their stories are pouring onto us, are like the elixir of um, heaven, that is amrit, which gives you the immortality, power of immortality. So it is immortal drink. These stories are the source of eternal inspiration for us to live on with our lives. All right, I hope the poem is clear. uh, Please read the poem properly once and see whether you have understood everything or not. In our subsequent video, as a continuation of this, we will discuss the lexical terms, the words, the vocabulary and all, and the critical analysis. All right, thank you class, thank you students.